There are cases when we want to measure something that we cannot reach. Like I could want to measure what's the height of a tree, but I don't reach it. I want to measure the height of a flagpole. Unless the flagpole is laying down, I cannot reach the height. So we use similar figures, and then we use the idea of similarity to be able to reach the height of things that we cannot reach. Right? Now, the information, I can give it to you in words, like we can see my screen, and give you the information in words, or I can give it to you in pictures. Now, let's take a look. For example, here, a flagpole, 4 meters tall, cast a 6 meter shadow, right? What I will mean as in pictures, I'm going to draw this. Okay, this is a pole. And then I'm going to say this is 4 meters tall. The shadow, it's obviously on the floor, it's 6 meters tall.
Could you try again?
All right, I guess Siri didn't get that. Okay, so flagpole is 4 meters tall and the shadow 6 meters. At the same time of the day, a nearby building cast a 24-meter shadow. I'm gonna say here's the building at the side. I don't know how tall is the building, so let me just call it X meters. So I don't know how tall is it, but the shadow bottom is 24 meters. Now the question is how tall in meters is the building, right? Obviously, I don't know how big it is. I'm gonna be able to solve this. I know we're familiar with similar triangles, so let me close this. Let me make this into triangles. I don't need to know the hypotenuse of this figure or this triangle, but I'm gonna close it just because we're familiar with triangles. Now we're gonna be able to solve for x, right? That's the height of the building. Round your answer to the nearest tenth if necessary. So we might have decimals. Okay, so let's take a look. The way I'm gonna do this for the triangle that has x, I'm gonna write x over 24. Notice I'm starting with the triangle that has the x. So x and 24. X is corresponding with 4. So 4 goes with x. 24 is corresponding with 6. And then I'm just going to cross multiply. X times 6, 6x. 24 times 4 is 96. Now, to solve for x, I'm just going to divide both sides by 6. Use a calculator if you need to. 96 divided by 6 happens to be 16. That's it. Now, keep in mind, it says round your answer to the nearest tenth if necessary. Some of my answers will be decimal. I'm going to have to round it up. Some of them will just be a whole number. In this case, 16 meters. There you go. Now, let's take a look at number 38. There is a person that is 1.6 meters tall that casts a 3-meter shadow. So I'm going to draw the person here. Person is 1.6 meters, and the shadow is 3. I'll complete this to see it as a triangle. At the same time of the day, a nearby tree cast a 14-meter shadow. So here's a tree, it's X meters tall, and the shadow is 14 meters. How tall in meters is the tree? Round your answer to the nearest tenth if necessary. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm going to write X over 14 is equal to 1.6 over 3. Then I'm just going to cross multiply. 3 times x is 3x. 1.6 times 14. I'm using a calculator. 1.6 times 14 is 22. Let me divide by 3. 22.4 divided by 3. According to my calculator, to begin with is 7.46 and then a bunch of sixes. Okay, I'm only going to write for right now, I'm only going to write 2 numbers. The reason why, because it says round your answer to the nearest 10th if necessary. Now, the nearest 10th is 1 decimal number. I wrote 2 because I do take a look at the second decimal place. If the second decimal number is big enough, which is our case, right, the 6 is going to push the 4 up 1 number. If the second decimal number was too small, which is 4 or less, I will just keep it at 7.4. In this case, my answer will be 7.5. I rounded to 1 decimal place. All right, so in meters, this is how we do it. In meters. But now here in the US, we don't use meters. We use inches and feet. So let me come over. Questions 39 and 40 are going to be the way we normally use this. So there's a flagpole that is 32 feet, 3 inches. Now, don't think that this is 32.3. It is not 32.3. It will be 0.3. We could easily use it as a decimal if there were 10 inches in a foot. If there were 10 inches in a foot, we could just use it as a decimal. But because there's 12 inches in a foot, we don't just call it 32.3. Instead, I'm going to round everything into inches. Now, I know that 32 feet, I'm going to convert that to inches. So I'm going to go 32 times 12. I'm multiplying by 12 because there's 12 inches in a foot. So 32 feet will be 384 inches. Now 32 feet and 3 inches. Let me just say this is 384 inches. That's 32 feet plus the 3 inches. I'm going to say there's a flagpole. I'm going to draw my flagpole here. That is 387 inches. I move everything to inches. Right, I went 32 times 12, which is 384 plus the 3 inches. Now it has a shadow. Now 11 feet, 12 inches. I know 11 times 12 is 132. Plus 2 inches is going to be 134 inches. I'm writing everything into inches. At the same time of the day, a nearby building, I don't know how tall is the building, has a shadow of 15 feet and 1 inch. So I'm going to go 15 times 12. That's 180. So 15 feet is 180 plus 1. It's going to be 181 inches. Remember, I went 15 times 12, right? 15 feet times 12. So it's 180 inches. That's 15 feet, right? Because it's 15 feet and 1 inch. So 181 inches. So I converted everything to inches. So for right now, let me solve for x. So I'm just going to write x over 181 is equal to 387 over 134. Again, I have everything in inches right now. I'm just going to cross multiply. 134 times x is 134x. And then 387 times 181 is 70,047. I know it's pretty big, but we're using a calculator, so we're fine. I'm going to separate my sides through the equal sign. Let me divide both sides by 134. Let me divide this by 134. So it gives me x is equal to 522.7. Okay, so one thing here, round your answer to the nearest inch if necessary. So I'm going to say 523 inches. You guys got me there? 523. Now, here comes the interesting part. How tall in feet and inches is the building? Right? We don't say 523 inches. We say usually, like my height, I usually say like I'm 5'6", so I said 5 feet 6 inches. I don't say 66 inches, right? I say 5 feet 6 inches. So same thing here. We had to convert 523 inches. So I'm just gonna go 523 divided by 12. The reason why I'm dividing by 12 is because I have to change this to there's 12 inches in the foot. So I get right now I get 43 point and then there's a decimal. Okay. For the moment I know part of my answer. I know 43 is part of my answer. 43 feet. Now I'm just gonna say this 43 for a minute. I'm just gonna look at the decimal. So on my calculator, I'm going to subtract 43. Like I said, I'll come back to the 43 in a minute. But right now, let me just subtract it. I want to just see in my calculator that decimal, 0.58, and then a bunch of threes. Then I'll come back to the 43 in a minute. I'm just going to deal with the decimal. Now, the decimal, let me multiply this by 12. And it says 7. So I'm ready for my answer. My answer would be 43 feet 7 inches. Now, notice how for feet I'm using it looks like a little comma on the top. And for inches, I'm using, it looks like 2 commas on the top. That's how we're going to type it. All together, no spaces, just 43 feet 7 inches. You guys see where I got the 43 from. And you guys see where I got the 7 from. All right, let's do this once again. Here's a person, there's the shadow, there's going to be a tree, there's going to be a shadow. So the person is 5 feet 8 inches. So I'm just going to go 5 times 12 plus 8. So in inches, this person is 68 inches. I've made everything into inches, right? 5 times 12 plus 8. The shadow is 9 feet 12 inches. I'm going to go 9 times 12 plus 7. So I'm going to say the shadow is 115 inches. At the same time of the nearby tree, I don't know the tree's height, cast a shadow of 18 feet 3 inches. I'm going to go 18 times 12 plus 3, so 219 inches. I move everything to inches. Now I got to solve for x. I'm going to go x over 219 is equal to 68 over 115. When I cross multiplied, I'm going to get 115x equals 68 times 219 is 14,892. Let me divide both sides by 115. I'm going to round this to the nearest whole number. So I'm going to say x is equal to 129. It says 129.4. I'm just going to say 129. All right, so the tree is 129 inches. I need to figure out in feet and inches. So let me do this. 129 divided by 12. It gives me 10 point, and then there's a decimal, 7913043. I'll come back to the 10 in a minute. Let me save, in my mind, let me save that 10. My calculator, let me do subtract the 10. Because I just want to see the decimal. 0.791343. Don't type the decimal itself. Instead, subtract the 10. Because there's a number. Oh, my calculator even shows me a 5. Right? There's more numbers that my calculator doesn't see. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to multiply this by 12. See, 129 divided by 12. Oh, I think I did this wrong. 129 divided by 12 gave me 10.75. Sorry. 10.75. I'm keeping the 10, right? I'm come back to that. In my calculator, let me subtract the 10 because I want to see the decimal, 0.75. Let me multiply this. So what I see there, 0.75 times 12. Where's my calculator is 9. So I went 129 divided by 12 gave me 10.75. I subtract the 10, but I do keep the 10 in my mind. So I just want the decimal part, 0.75 times 12 is 9. So now I'm ready for my answer. The tree, in this case, is going to be 10 feet, 9 inches. Okay.